Hey everyone, welcome to another Wednesday Lunch Live sketch. My name is Frank Summers, and today we're going to be drawing Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Leo was always my favorite. For some reason, he always appealed to me. I think I liked his understated nature the best out of all of them. And I think I also just liked his katanas. So that being said, why don't I jump into it? Let's go ahead back over into Photoshop. Where am I? There I am. Also, a quick rundown. I try to do these sketches every Wednesday at around lunchtime, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. The deal is to always try and get something done in around 25 minutes. So that said, and I always get like a mixed bag. Sometimes I get further than I would like to, so we'll see how far we can get today. So let's start my timer. Okay, Google. Set alarm for 25 minutes.
Okay, 12:26 p.m. Setting your alarm.
Thank you, Google. All right, so the first thing I did was I already started off with a few rough thumbnails. So, I mean, I'm looking at them now, and I'm just kind of wrapping my head around it a little bit. I think, and these are just quick ideas. So, this one here, a little stiff. I like the action in this bottom right corner one. I like that he's running, and I don't often draw his head from a profile, so I like that. However, I think I like this one the best. I like the dynamic pose. So I'm going to go with that one, I think. So we're going to just copy this rough thumbnail. We'll copy it. Make a new layer. We'll pop him down. We'll hide the other guys. And we'll move him to the center. Blow him up a little bit. And this is what we're going to work with. Let me see what I'm dealing with here. Oh, he's kind of small. We can give ourselves a little more play. So this is the general idea of what I'm going to shoot for. Let's try and stay working on his thumbs. And I may just break this down a little bit, knock him down just a tad. You probably can't see him too much. I'm just lowering my opacity. I'll make a new layer on top of that, call it roughs, and away we go. I'll pick a color. Work blue. I think you guys can probably see that. Maybe a little darker so you guys can see it on the stream. Let's take a peek really quick. Is that viewable? It looks like it's kind of light, so I'll make it a little darker for you guys so you can see. Okay, so one of the things I liked was that he was running toward us. And so what we'll do is we'll accentuate the shell a little bit, or actually de-accentuate the back part of the shell. Let's find where the bottom of his shell will be, the belly or the chest, however you want to call it, really. And it's moving at us in perspective, so we got to keep that in mind. So it's tapering off a little bit. And his shell does not need to be this big, so we can de-emphasize it a little bit. And here's the cranium of the head. And we have the idea, an overlapping, the head is overlapping the chest or the torso. So here's our center line, and I want the head to rotate down slightly. And at this part of the stage, I'm still just working roughly and just trying to find where things fit, right? Here's the curvature of the shell, like I guess the lip, if you would call it that. And then kind of poking out here. So maybe I'll round these corners off a little bit, because otherwise it would probably be painful to his shoulders. his shoulders would be coming out of his shell. Ooh, I am hungry. I did not make my sandwich beforehand. I know I want the blade to be moving toward us slightly here. Something like that. As well as the other blade in the his other hand, his screen right hand. This one could be slightly coming at us as well in perspective. And his hands will be here someplace. The shoulder dropping down into an elbow somewhere back in here. But this upper arm will be highly foreshortened. We won't see much of it. His shoulder, his elbow pads will be lost someplace back in there. The idea of a thumb right there someplace. Here's his other thumb down here. Okay. All right. So the idea also would be his bandana as a design element. I would like to kind of hook back into the sword. So from a design point of view, we have this shape that is kind of drawing our eye back over into the sword here. So that it's just creates some interest and gets our eye moving around a little bit. And now this leg is here someplace, our knee block around here. Okay, and the other leg kind of running away. He's running. The knee block around here someplace. We don't see the rest of it. Tucks back behind him somewhere in space. The eyes would be around here somewhere. Mouth shape, something like this. And our bandana. So the cranium, I can already tell, is a little goofy. So let's pull it back. I definitely watched a lot of the Turtles in the 80s. But I was also kind of reading the comic slightly at times. I can't say I was an avid follower of the comic, but I did have several of the graphic novels. And so I think when I started drawing the Turtles, I kind of, when I was younger in grade school, I kind of picked up something of a bit of an in-between of what the animated characters were and the Eastman Laird versions. So that's, and I've also I really enjoy the new Nickelodeon version, the CG one. I really like the low poly count, and I've kind of incorporated some of that stuff as well. I kind of like how they handle feet. They're kind of like these stubs. So maybe this shell can not go so far over. We can come down a little bit with it. And by the shell, I mean the breastplate. And he's got his sword sheaths up here someplace. So maybe we'll have them just tuck behind. I mean, design-wise, the sword sheaths definitely kind of betray the roundness of a shell back there. I mean, because there's a round shell, right? And then there's these sword sheaths that so how do they sit? You know what I mean? Like, they're always cheated, I feel like. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird design. I mean, I guess they could be something like that, right? If you're looking at it from a profile. But wouldn't that put a lot of pressure on the swords and break the? You know what I mean? I mean, thus the cartoon, right? Thus they're cartoon characters, comic book characters. So we'll just get the hint of the sheaths in here. Here's the nose bridge. Okay. So let's step back and take a peek at what we have here so far. I can already see that maybe the screen right arm is having some difficulty. And I probably should drop the shoulder slightly. The shoulder mass. It's a little too hulking. It's one of the things I don't like about the new version, the new film. They're too hulking for my taste. I mean, they're ninjas, right? So this arm can be dropped down slightly. All right. To each his own, though, you know. All right. And then we got crazy little feet, toes. Okay. Okay. Step out, take a good squint. This green right arm is looking better. I think it needs to be defined a lot more, that's for sure. Let's get rid of this gobbledygook. Yeah, so let's just keep moving along. Not happy at all with this as I'm sitting here looking at it. So let's just break down the arm. And by break down, I mean just get rid of it. Maybe even hide the thumb layer now. I don't need it anymore for my... It served its purpose. You know, I'm pretty sure I want the hand and the sword to be around this area. So it's just a matter of finding where the arm could fit. You know, that looks a little better. Looks a little better. We can definitely fix the hands here. I like that the hands are blocky. And we're not going to see much of them, at least of this one anyway. It's hidden behind our katana. You know, sometimes you see them with wristbands. So I suppose it's again, it's a matter of what version you're looking at. I'll put wristbands on them. I'm pretty sure they always have wristbands. Let's clean up the bandana area a little bit here, the eye area. So the bandana definitely tucks below the eye line. This is the eye line I'm trying to find right now. I'll give him your typical squinty, badass Ninja Turtle eyes. And we can take that line out. Served its purpose. And take it out. And now the bandana bottom edge could follow the contour of the nose slightly, come back up and wrap around the head. And I'm not really a huge fan of that line, the center line, that the 80s animated version kind of. Okay. We can get rid of this line too. Okay, let's work on this arm over. Let's save. Always good to save your progress because you just never know. How am I looking on time? Let's take a peek. 30. I got like 15 minutes. Let's go. Let's revisit this bandana. I would imagine that someone really wants to get a hold of me. It's the second time my phone rang doing this. The bandana knot would be somewhere like invisible. We can't see it. It's behind his head. So you know, I imagine they'll be coming from back here someplace. Let's add a little bit of some creases to it. Let's move in on his face slightly. We can get into here now. And I want to start working this. Here's a knuckle going down into another knuckle and wrapping underneath. Here's the second knuckle going down. So I'm just trying to construct this hand here. Here's another knuckle, the thumb, moving down into the thumb tip, I suppose. Can refine this a little better. That's coming along okay. We can probably take this arm and foreshorten it a little cleaner. And now one of the interesting things is what happens inside of the shell, like this space right here. How do they handle it? I guess the best way to handle it really is to minimize it as much as possible. I mean, otherwise it's like a black hole, and it's kind of creepy. Or we can just treat it like in the cartoon, the animated series, they always just kind of built it up. Shoulder pad. We have a hint of the wrist pad coming over. Let's fix up these katanas a little better. Get a little more squared off. Give them a little bit of depth. All right, I think the next thing I want to do after I get through with this phase is definitely move on to some tie downs. Here's a knuckle moving into another knuckle, which is hidden by the thumb. Here's a knuckle moving down to another knuckle, and there. Okay. Okay, why don't we see what time it is really quickly here. What's my time? I'm coming along at 12:26. 12:26. 10 minutes. Enough time to do a tie down. So I will do that. Or we can go into the rough a little more and find out where, whoops. So these guys have straps coming from them. Which could probably actually fix the one shoulder issue we were having. Running into it. I'm sitting here thinking I'm running into an odd tangent. Where his belt would be. Subdivide this a little cleaner. Hold on. Yeah, that's better. If I push the sword a little more on the diagonal like this, helps erase some of these problems that I'm having in this area right here. Okay, and then the other strap. If I start pulling it over, you can imagine maybe at some point over his shoulder they meet up and kind of come down together. Okay. All right, so let's make another layer. We'll knock down our roughs a little bit. You can call this a tie down. Go a little darker. Excuse me. And by tie down, I'm going to hopefully refine some of this into a much cleaner shape. Not necessarily a clean up, but I want to try and define my shapes a lot better. That's for sure. This part of the process is going over what we have, and I don't like that. All right. I do like in the comic book, I'm pretty sure anyway, they gave him like little tiny teeth, little turtle teeth. I'm not super thrilled with what I have going on with the bandanas back here. May have to revisit them at some other point. All right. Okay. Sword is certainly not, the blade is not centered in the sword. This is a part of the process here. Where finding where things go. And we can adjust as we need. Let's get that nice and straight coming at us. Show a little bit of thickness on the edge. And clean up. And if I was to clean this up, you know, I would take some more time and there. Let's give it a little thickness. There we go. And this little detail. There we go. Good. Okay, let's move along here. Overlapping shapes of the shoulder. Whoops. Overlapping shape of the shoulders. A little bit of thickness in the shell also. We're kind of looking down on it, so it'd be nice to get that in there. Work this part. Let's avoid any tangents or strange intersections. Now I think we can spend a little more time on these sheaths back here. We can give them a little more love. A little bit of some thickness to it. There. Here's his shell coming over. And let's do that. Let's just keep rocking here. So here's the part of the belt. And then we have the bottom part of the shell. All right, my buzzer's about ready to go off, so let's. There it is. I'm going to finish this up. Thank you. I'm going to finish this up a little bit. I want to try and get at least something. Get it a little bit more in a good place. We'll get a little bit of thickness to the edge of the sword here. Nothing crazy. It is a sword after all. Guess I'm a little more quieter on this one. Sorry if it's boring. Guess I don't have much to say today. We can adjust this thumb a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. This thumb is troublesome. Palm. And we have the pummel. Just we can streamline, treat it as one shape. There's no need to. I'm not happy with this. Okay, here will be the wristband. The foreshortened arm. I may come back and revisit these feet. I'm not too sure how I feel about them. But like I said, I kind of like how the Nick animated version handles the feet. And the leg is trailing away into oblivion. All right, there's our Leonardo. I think pull the roughs out. And there's our tie down. I think the tie down could probably use still some more work. There's still some loosey-goosey type stuff going on. You know, the line work isn't amazing. I'm not thrilled with the bandanas. I think some further cleanup and some further tightening could help. The foreshortening on this wrist is okay. We could probably do something like that. Okay. Let's do a quick save. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to spend all of 5 minutes putting in just some quick tones. Save. Let me find Leo's blue. Let's just say that's cool for now. And I happen to like using Kyle's natural watercolor brush, this one. Let's put it on top, actually. We'll set it to multiply so that it grabs the tones of the pencil underneath. And I'll keep it on 100% for now. Let's see what happens. Stop. Let's just stick in some tone. I will probably revisit this later. But for the sake of this stream, we'll have at least something a little more polished. And we could take some brown for the pads. All right, and the same thing with the straps, too. We'll keep that the same. I mean, I might as well just keep going with this, right? Let's just throw in some. What's a good color for turtle? Green. It's too saturated. Let's come down a little bit. For that. I don't have much time. I have to get back to work. So let's throw some color in here. Why not? Why not? Always go back in later on. Some yellow, more tannish. Tan? Yeah, this could work. And for the shell, a little more brown, right? A little more darker. And then let's just get some grayish, silvery type stuff for the katanas. I know those are red pummels. Let's go saturate it a little more. Too much, too much. Pull the saturation out a little bit. Make that a little smaller. There we go. A little brown for the leather. There, that's good. All right, and the next thing I guess I can do quickly is maybe just put some tone on it. Multiply again. Let's cheat. Grab a blue. Something like that. Save. And we can go a little wider with our brush here and stick in some tone. Let's pull that up a little bit. Put this leg back in shadow. This will be in shadow. There we go. Probably pull the layer up a little bit. I almost feel like I want to go darker in some of the spots. Really pull some of these core tones out a little bit more. Something in here where the shadow of the head is, in here where the shell is, back here, just to set these off a little more. Underneath this bandana can be darker. Underneath this. Can give the nose a little bit of depth. That can be darker in the armpit. Down in here. All right. And some core tones underneath here as it's kind of moving away from us. And some core tones under the hand here. Somewhere along here in the blade a little bit. In the hand, show off these knuckles a little bit. This is sharpened here, and by sharpening, it's a pinched area. You can define the head a little better. And there we go. There's our Leonardo. Well, thank you very much for joining me this week. Oh, hold on. Got to do it. I can't close it. I can't close it. You can go forever. You really can. You just got to eventually make yourself stop. I think the nose is probably a little too harsh. Let's pull the nose back a little bit. You'll probably go to the other layer. And I was just signing off. Look at me. You can do it, though. You can do it. That's better. That's good. I'm going to leave it for now. Thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully, I'll be here again next week. It depends on my schedule is, but generally, I try to do this every Wednesday at lunchtime at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And that's about it. Thank you very much for joining me. You guys have a good week. Goodbye.